Bullseye. Yes, Hickok 45 here, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the still barren hills of Tennessee. Tennessee, the home of Alvin York, speaking of the 1911, right? So glad you're here and glad that I'm here. Glad I've got a 1911 out. I was just in the mood to shoot this Guardian, Dan Wesson. So guess what I did? I dragged it out. I even put my Hickok 45 hat on. Yeah, I always drag this stuff over here to show. And anyway, I thought I'd wear it today just to be silly as much as anything. So I forget to mention our merch. What was I going to say? I don't know. I don't remember what I was going to talk about. So, I guess just let y'all go. No, good to see you all this Sunday. It was good to see you last Sunday. And here I am again. And I told you I was going out of town last week, and I did. And guess what? I'm back. In fact, I was back actually by the time you were watching me last Sunday. Yeah. So it's just, the internet thing's pretty weird, isn't it? This time travel and all that. But yep, I was up in Chicago for a few days with John, my grandson, my wife, and everything, and had a interesting time up there. Chicago, in case you weren't aware of it, is a big city. Yeah, it's really big. You can drive a long time and not be out of the city, and yeah, it's just a big place, right? So not that I'm new to that. I've been up there many times, and New York City and LA and you name it, I've been there and stayed there and all that sort of thing through the years. But my preference is not a large city, or I would live in a large city. Yeah, I wouldn't be living in the woods in a log house if I was a urbanite city dweller, would I? So it's one of those deals like we've always said about New York City, at least in the past. Nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. I'm not sure it's even a nice place to visit anymore, but that's kind of the way it goes. And I feel like we're leaning again. The ground isn't level. So yeah, good to see you, and good to be back. I don't know what I've got. 230 grain hardball, odds and ends. I got some Underwood. This is 1,000 feet per second, so that's trucking for a 230 grain round, even at 45. So most of it's not 1,000 feet per second, but we'll shoot some of that too. We've got some of this lipstick ammo left. We'll shoot a couple rounds of that. So yeah, good old 1911. I like them. I don't carry it much. This though is the one I carry if I'm going to, and I did carry it. Well, I didn't carry it. Well, I did carry it a little bit this week. Not in Chicago. It's illegal, but I might have had it there. You got all these capacity issues up in that neck of the woods, right? But anyway, interesting place. We went to a Bulls game. John had tickets to a Bulls game, and I had been to a Bulls game back in the 80s. I saw Michael Jordan play there, yeah. And now the only Michael Jordan I saw was a big bronze statue right out in the foyer. And a United Center. In fact, met some of you all there. And but good to see you, the folks I met on the trip. So yeah, I went to the Bulls game, and I haven't kept up, like I've told you, I don't keep up with the NBA much anymore, but I used to, up until around the pandemic, I guess, and things got so weird in the professional sports and that area. But it was neat seeing the Clippers play. Put it that way. They were playing the Clippers, and I mean, I enjoyed the Bulls too. They got a couple of really good players, but the Clippers, man, they are loaded this year. And with these players I've been watching for whatever 10, 15 years off and on. Kawhi Leonard, I've seen him in so many playoff games. Always been impressed with him. And Paul George. Harden and Westbrook did not play. They were being rested, when you know it, in that game. But that happened to me when I got a chance to see Larry Bird play in Cleveland back in the 80s. I was really glad I was up there with a rep, helped train in software and stuff, and went to the Cleveland game in Cleveland, and that was the night they chose to rest Larry Bird, when you know it. But got to see Kawhi Leonard in person up close, great seats, and it's just interesting if you've ever played a sport, as you know, or done anything, and then you are around someone who is at the pinnacle, basically, of that sport or that endeavor, whatever it is, playing chess or basketball or soccer, and like up close, and you see them. It just is a reminder how good somebody can be at something, how smooth they can be, and how easy they can make it appear to be, you know, and it's just phenomenal. You know, when we get to the very apex, the top rung of the ladder in any endeavor, there obviously are going to be some people, out of the billions of people on this planet, there are going to be some people who are just beyond human almost in terms of what they can do and how easy they can make something look, and it's just phenomenal, really. I'm so impressed with Kawhi Leonard. He's unbelievable. But anyway, that was cool. And rode the bus, or not the bus, the train up there around the commuter trains. Took my grandson on some commuter train rides, all of us, and I hadn't been on one in a while. And it was interesting. I guess it was about the same time there was a shooting on one in New York, but you are kind of trapped in there, you know, and it's a interesting experience, you know, people, and it's just like daily life for a lot of people, some of you, maybe. Just you go into the city, or you get to the airport, or you may not even have a car. You know, a lot of people don't even have a car if they live in a city like that, and they Uber everywhere, or the train, and get them to the airport and where they're going, and they don't even own a car. So it's a totally different lifestyle. And we stayed in a Airbnb kind of a house north side of Chicago, and same thing. It's such a crowded city. I think people quit going there. But it's no place to park, hard to park. I mean, you know, it's just, if I lived there, I think I might not have a car. It's crazy trying to find a place to park. But different lifestyle. Again, interesting place to visit. You know, I said that all through the 80s and on up. I've done a fair amount of traveling at places, and it's always interesting to go somewhere different, isn't it? Even some place you consider a little bit less undesirable, maybe, but at least you dive into it for a couple of days and back out, and yep, I'm right, I don't want to live there. I wouldn't want to spend 2 weeks there, or whatever your impression might be. But it is, I don't know if it's enlightening, but it's a little bit mind expanding. It's an experience that you have that gives you a better perspective on that type of life, how people live. It's interesting. So can I shoot this some more? Let's put some of these pretty red bullets in it, lipstick bullets. All right. Don't forget the Hickok 45 Clips channel. A lot of you are finding it. It is funny because a lot of people, I guess we didn't think about that as much being an issue. You know, we did a video to introduce it, say, hey, this is the Hickok 45 Clips channel. Yes, it's us. These are not stolen or whatever. And that's like on the main page of that channel, just so people would know. And it's not just people grabbing and stealing our stuff, all that. And you still get people writing about that, and people wondering about why you did this short video on this. Don't you longer video on it? you know, it's the Hickok 45 Clips channel, and there's a link to all the original videos that John takes that from, and most of you know that, but it's funny. There's always a few people who don't know that, of course. All right, 45. I think I was missing old Clyde over there. I haven't shot this enough, that's for sure, lately. How about you, cowboy? Really nice trigger, boy. How about you, hog? Do I know where to hold on the gong? Okay, must be right there. Yeah, about on the bottom of it, okay? Knowing where to hold is one thing, but again, you gotta make sure the trigger breaks while you're holding there, right? Are we recording? Yeah. I feel dumb enough. I don't need to be out here talking to the trees, you know, or a tripod. And it's pretty nice. I have to say, I still don't have the VZ grips. I want some grips with better friction on them. I don't know why I'm so long getting those. A little trouble finding them, getting them ordered and all that. Okay. Yeah, man. So, did y'all hear about the news in Toronto? The police are recommending you leave your keys by the door so the thieves can just come in and grab your keys and not hurt you to steal your car. There's got to be a lot of jokes on that and parodies. I mean, think about it. You know, like a Texas version of that, or a Tennessee version would be, you know, please leave your keys by the door, or maybe a meme. You know, someone hanging their keys by the door with a target right there, you know, and then down the hall a shotgun, you know, aimed right at the keys, you know, or something. That's what the world's gotten to. So you want to leave your credit cards, your wallet, you know, all your bank account information by the door for people, right? That's a good plan. That's a good plan. Kind of gets back to what I was talking about last week. You know, we're just afraid to crack down on anything. Seems like we're afraid to crack down on bad behavior, illegal behavior, criminal behavior. We might offend somebody or some group or whatever it is. You know, it's just, wow. No, the only group that we are discriminating against or offending are you ready? Lawbreakers. Yeah, lawbreakers, criminals, regardless of their gender, their color, their race, their nationality, their background, none of that matters. You know, you're in this country and you're not living by our laws, you know, so it don't matter what you look like. We don't want you if you are not going to live by the rules. Let's try some of this hot stuff, okay? Yeah, well, I say hot, it's not plus P, I guess, is it? Well, yeah, it is, yeah, 1,000 feet per second would be plus P. Yeah, I should have known that. So, safety on. Let's fire a couple of these. See how it kicks. I don't know if I fired any of that in this. It is a lightweight, you know, commander. Probably would not be wise to shoot thousands and thousands of rounds of plus P 45 in it. I don't know. Would it? Yeah, I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference. Let's see if it's accurate. Yeah, pretty accurate. Oh boy. All right, hit the gong hard. It functioned it fine. Yeah. Yeah, probably not wise to shoot tons of that in a lightweight commander. The lightweight commander is a carry gun, need I say that? A great carry gun, because for a long time I was a little biased. I felt like the 1911 had to be 5-inch, especially 45. It needed to be 5-inch gun, all that. And but I shot when I had the first commander length one or fired it, but I realized, well, this seems to shoot about the same. It was a full steel model, and couldn't really tell a lot of difference. And I decided, yeah, it's not bad, you know, and a lightweight version of that'd make a good carry gun for a 1911, because then you're getting down into like Glock 19 weight category or something. And you know, and that's one of the things about, you know, say a Glock 19, for example, or any polymer pistol, M&P, you name it, SIG, a compact mid-sized gun. Put it beside a standard 1911, and you got a chunk right of weight, you know. But if you crank down that slide 3/4 of an inch, you get a lightweight frame, then it's a different matter. It really is. You can still shoot the big 45, and it's controllable in a smaller package, and you get all the benefits of a 1911, like a great trigger, great grip, feel, and all that. Okay, some people are gagging right now because they think a 1911 is a FUD gun. There's just words like that kind of move into the language, and then so many people feel so smart when they use them. It's kind of the nature of human beings, isn't it? Which reminds me, speaking of the Clips channel, the you know, where John pulls out different things. He pulled out, was it a week ago or so, that a clip from one of the Shooting the Breezes. You remember the Shooting the Breeze series? That kind of was the predecessor to this, where I just come out in the woods and talk for an hour, you know, about dumb stuff and whatever I wanted to talk about, and with no shooting really. And those were called Shooting the Breeze, and he pulled just a piece out of that, and he'll do more of those, just yakking and things. And where I was talking about the troll, or the mean, he titled it something about mean comments or something, because in that, when I spent a little time talking about just trolls and, you know, troll comments or whatever, you know, people being mean for seemingly no reason and kind of weird stuff. So I was pontificating there for a few minutes about that, because I always find that interesting from a psychological standpoint. But it's funny because just the nature of it. So be aware of that on the Clips channel. If John pulls out some little piece from a long 1 hour discussion, I'm just talking about stuff or shooting, whatever's going on, it is just a small piece of that, kind of out of context. And it's not out of context really, but in a way it is, because it was just one of the things I was talking about in that video. But the fact that it's a separate video, especially for people who don't know about the Hickok 45 Clips channel, you know, it shows up in their feed. Here's this video from me, and I'm seeming a little upset about mean comments or something. Wow, because I saw someone say something about, wow, this must have really upset Hickok. He did a video on it, you know. Well, no, I didn't do a video on that. It was a part of an old video where I was talking about a lot of different things. Just be aware of that, because by nature of that process, it makes whatever I'm talking about seem more important, right? So anyway, and then also, whenever I talk about that, about the weird Wild West of the internet and things people say and all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, someone said, what was it? Or you see comments. Well, a lot of people are like, don't let it bother you, you know, or I'm sorry you have to deal with that, and this kind of thing. Again, it's because it's a separate little video on that, so it's like it appears like it's bothering me a lot more than it really is, right? And it doesn't bother me. It perplexes people, I think, more than anything. I've seen this around. We've been doing this a long time. And new people come in and start doing videos, gun videos, even different things. And it seems like the first 2 or 3 years, they talk a lot about that, because they too are perplexed by it, and they're surprised, and they get into answering people and arguing more so. And then they sort of get out of that mode and realize, oh, okay, this is the way it is. And so that's kind of what happened with us, I guess. I didn't get into arguing with people, but we were surprised by it early on, where are these people coming from? What are they upset about? It doesn't make sense. You know? Then you realize, well, that's just the way it's going to be. You know, once you get a little bit of a public figure at all, then yeah, that's the way it's going to be. And so it's always struck me as interesting from a psychological standpoint. I've always been interested in psychology of humans and people. I took courses I didn't even have to take for electives in college. I've always found it interesting, you know, I guess because I'm so weird, but just the motivations of human behavior and groups and why people would say something. And so it's like it doesn't, you get very quickly to where it doesn't bother you because you see where it's coming from. You do consider the source, you know, and it's just very interesting. And you could psychoanalyze some of these comments, and you can kind of tell what that person's problem is, you know. And so it's more than anything, it's just an interesting aspect of human nature, you know, that anonymity on the internet and social media, the envy and just all that stuff rolled up there where it's all amplified, exaggerated. So I just find it interesting. It's not like, don't feel sorry for me for having to deal with it. You know, it's a choice we made. It's just interesting when I talk about it. It's just, people are interesting, aren't they? They really are, in their weirdness, just like me. Hopefully, I'm interesting in my weirdness. I'm not just weird. Yeah. So speaking of weird, it might be a little weird to be firing a 45 ACP, right? Not many people do anymore, right? Well, I guess a lot do, but it's definitely not mainstream like it used to be. Rolls that pin off there, doesn't it? Yeah, boy. This has been a reliable little gun. Yeah, it has. Great trigger, too. Yeah, man. Yeah, boy. Appreciate Ballistol, Talon grips. This green water we're in. Funny. So I saw a couple of comments on the Oliver Anthony. He was drinking it. I got him a bottle of it. I keep it in the fridge. I brought him a bottle out, you know. And so we were both drinking it in that sit-down talk. It's just what I drink. Keep me from drinking soft drinks, and he seemed to like it too. But I don't know, some people, someone said something about the fancy water or whatever. I buy this stuff by the case at Sam's. It's cheaper than soft drinks. It's cheaper than most things you buy, so it's not like it's some expensive thing. I think I figured it was, what is it? It was like, for a case, it was like 40, I don't know, 70 cents a bottle. I don't know, something like, I don't know what it is. That's the same price you wouldn't pick up any other bottle of water at the Minute Mart. But anyway, it keeps me out of soft drinks pretty much. You know, something else about people, the weirdness of people. I think it was on that video I saw, because I do skim through. I think I saw, because so many, it frustrates me that so many comments get filtered out. You know, so I try to skim through and just approve them. They're just, I don't know why. It's just normal comments and normal stuff. And what was it? Someone said, said something about the reason people are mean to you is the first time let's see, what did he say? I saw you at a gun show, and the first thing you out of your mouth was give me some money. The first thing out of your mouth was give me some money. I saw you at a gun show, and the first thing out of your mouth was give me some money. And that might be the reason people are mean to you. And I thought, wow, that really tells you a lot about human nature. It tells me a lot about human nature because I'm the person, and I know what I say to people, what I don't. And sometimes, if you've run into me, you may have heard me say I have well, I shouldn't tell you my common jokes because then they don't, you know, then you already know. But sometimes I will say, someone wants a picture, says, yeah, you got any cash? You know, just, and of course they know I'm joking, you know. There was one guy somewhere a few years back, some young guy started reaching for his wallet. I said, get out of here, I'm joking. You know, but I mean, everybody knows I'm joking. And so I might say that, and then whoever that was would have known I'm joking too. But anyway, so, you know, it's just weird, isn't it? That someone would, I don't know, try to like insult me or whatever, and it make people think that I was asking them for money when they came up to me or something. It's just really asking them for money. So what I tell you what it does, it's a good reason. It's a reminder, that kind of thing. And that has happened with John and me over the whole years. Again, we've had this 17 years of doing this. We've had experience. And I think it's good to share some of that. One thing it has taught us, because we've been misquoted and people make up things, and the only, like, you wouldn't know it was made up necessarily. You don't even know that's made up. Maybe that's what I do when I run into somebody, right? And they, yeah, you got any money for me? But what it does is it is a vivid, stark reminder that you really got to be careful what you believe in general. Like on news media, we've been misquoted on the media. That happened back when I was playing basketball. I learned lessons early on that. But in this endeavor, you just cannot trust what you hear about somebody. You really cannot. And I don't. I haven't for years. I've been in the corporate world. I've been around a little bit. And when someone tells me something, now if it's someone I really know well, I'll give them some more credibility, but I still have to take everything with a grain of salt. It's kind of like when, someone's gotten divorced, they're about to get divorced or whatever, and they're fighting with their wife, ex-husband, whatever it is, and, he said this or he did this, and he wants this, and they're fighting over the property, so, or whatever it might be, even if it's your best friend. You have to take all that with a grain of salt, because there's two sides to that story, and you don't know how that came about, and what they quote you as someone having been said, yeah, okay, maybe they said that. What did you say to them first? Yeah. But, you sympathize with them if they're your friend, and the spouse or the ex-spouse is not your friend, so you kind of sympathize with them, right? But you know how those sorts of things go. And yeah, okay, if you say so. Yeah, it's terrible. But, you weren't there. You weren't there. And you know how those kinds of arguments and different things can escalate, and someone can say something they don't really mean. It's how they said it and all that sort of thing. And it's just hard. And I'll tell you another examples in business. I don't know how many times I had heard someone say something about a manager or their manager or somebody within the company they just have a real problem with. They don't like the way they do this, or they're terrible, whatever it is. And I know that person. And maybe I even work for that same person. Report to that same manager or whatever. And I don't have any of those issues that you're having with them, And I've seen that happen quite often. So that makes me wonder, okay, man, I'm glad I haven't had that issue, because I wouldn't put up with it. I wouldn't work here if that's the way I were treated, And so, but it makes you wonder, what are you doing to bring that on? Why are they so hard on you? If that is true, are you screwing things up all the time or something? I'm not aware. I don't know. But anyway, it's not my experience at all. And so you go through that for a period of decades, off and on, every now and then. And you do begin to really doubt, or at least take with a grain of salt, the things that people had to say about people. Man, especially in the public eye. Like if someone, even if someone tells me, well, I ran into George Clooney when I was in LA, and boy, was he a smart aleck. Wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't even say hi, and he was just standing there by himself at a bus stop or something. Well, I'm making that up, of course. Sorry, George, if you watched the video. I don't know. I'm not even going to believe, if you say so. Maybe he was on his phone and there was something going on, and or maybe you're someone who thinks everybody, no matter how big a celebrity they are, they should stop whatever they're doing, like I do, because I'm not a big celebrity, and I appreciate people watching. That's the thing about the earlier comment that is so bizarre, because I may not know much, but I do know that you guys come first, and unless there's something really wild going on, because you're the reason I get to shoot and do this and make a good living doing it. And so, you come first, and it's not even just a PR thing. It's just I'm genuinely grateful, and so I'm always happy to talk to you. But But anyway, you just have to take with a grain of salt what people have to say about things, don't you? And again, when you're on the inside of that, or you're on one side or the other, and you know that, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Why would someone say that in public, or why would someone think that? Because I know that person, I've never seen that. You really do have to think about that. Even if it's someone who has a reputation, and there's some people in the firearms industry like that. I'm not going to mention their names. Gun makers, custom gun makers, or gun writer. I could name 2 or 3, which I wouldn't do, of course. Even if someone tells me about a really bad experience with one of those people, okay, well, a lot of people I know I've heard that could have that experience, but then again, I don't know, did you bring it on partly, or badger that person, or catch them at the wrong time, wouldn't let up, you just never know. Even if it's your friend, a good friend, you don't know what the situation was. Okay, does that mean anything to anybody? Probably not. Clyde's getting bored over there. I can't blame him, because I'm ignoring him. I can fix that. Now you're sorry you were bored, huh, Clyde? Good old 45. For those who don't know, it slings out a big chunk of lead, 230 grains. In handguns and just general usage and carry, you don't get much heavier than that. You get 240, maybe 250 if it's a 45, long, or 45 Colt or something like that. 44 Special, maybe 240 grains, and of course you got all kinds of weights with bullets these days. But in terms of a standard loading that's commonly available, when you get up into that 230, 40 grain bullet weight category, it doesn't get a lot heavier, in carry guns. So now I know you might be carrying a 44 with a 300 grain bullet, of course, or 45, Colt with a 325 grain bullet, especially if you're in bear country. But for just general defense, probably not, right? So what else do you want to know about? I've yacked a lot, haven't I? You can tell. Psychology of people, it's always been an interest of mine to some extent. I don't lose sleep over it, but I guess analyzing people. I would have been a good psychiatrist. I'd just sit there and let them lie back on the couch and tell me their problems. And then when they finished, I'd smack them upside the head. Well, here's your problem, idiot. Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. What else? Well, young people, here's one. Again, it's an election year. Let your politicians know what you think, especially about these babies. Always more and more pressure on them. The media loves it. Oh, man. There have been some shootings recently. I mean, they're mainly something like within a family or some gang thing. But boy, the media drags it out. I heard one the other day. I think that was the one up in Pennsylvania where someone took an AR and killed some of their family, that kind of thing, and then they got in a car or went somewhere else. Well, to hear ABC News report that, it sounded like it was online. I saw it, and they must have said AR-15 about 8 times, and it was like this 3-state mass shooting and traveling around with an AR-15. I thought, whoa, what's going on? Is someone traveling around killing half the county? What's going on here? It was just, it was tragic. It happened. There were, I think, 3 people killed, or maybe whatever, but it was like his family or something, and it was one of those weird domestic things. And then he did get in a car and go to some other state or whatever, try to avoid police. I don't know. But the media loves that kind of thing, especially if there's an assault rifle. They must have said assault rifle, AR-15, I don't know how many times, So, but anyway, make sure your politicians in your state, in your country, know how you feel about things, And, because they are busy trying to divide us. That's what they do, trying to get votes. Keep that in mind as the electioneering picks up more and more and more. And just listen for it. Speaking of psychology of human beings, listen for it, what they say and how they say things, and have been for 10 years. Some of them, they want to divide us by race, right? They gotta make, and of course, the more simple-minded one is, the more they fall for it, right? But they want to divide us by race, and so they can be the big savior, and by class, and make us all think that the only reason that the economy is not as good as it could be is that those rich people up there not paying their fair share. Well, you know who those rich people are. They're people that make the jobs. They're also the people that make $1 more than you do or I do, right? That's what the definition of rich is, or wealthy by and large. And it's just they foment envy and racism in order to get votes and get their usually it's their socialism, promoted. So watch for that. Don't fall for it. Dissect it. Analyze it when you hear it. And say, yeah, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Hickok warned me about you. I shouldn't have to. But anyway, young people, watch for that. Get wise. Don't fall for this stupid stuff. They are relying on your falling for this stupid stuff. Yeah. Have you ever wondered, often, we all do it. We all say, you hear politicians talking about certain things. Their arguments are so lame, so dumb. We live in an upside-down world in so many ways, don't we? Recently, and they keep promoting some of this stupid stuff, and you think, do they think we're that dumb? Well, they don't care what the people with common sense think about it. They realize that people with common sense see right through it. I think they don't care. I mean, your natural instinct is like, well, someone's going to call them on that and point out how dumb that is, and then they'll say, oh yeah, I guess it is, and they'll change their way of thinking. No, they won't. They're not really talking to me or many of you, hopefully all of you. They're not talking to people with common sense and judgment, people who respect liberty and freedom. They're talking to people. They're trying to, as long as they can get the votes, enough votes, from the people who just don't keep up with things at all and will fall for it and are not very smart, they can get more than half the votes of the country from those people, they'll get elected. So it doesn't matter that people with common sense just laugh at them and say, what? What's wrong with that fool? It doesn't matter. They're getting votes where they know they are. They're getting votes. They're convincing people that just don't have a lot of thinking capability, put it that way, and have very little common sense and want to keep getting a check from government. So there you go. That's the reason. You might not have been aware of that. They don't care what you or I think. Okay? Their getting elected doesn't depend on that, unfortunately. Yeah, so you might not have been aware of that. Okay, really ranting today, aren't I? Okay. Too much time in Chicago. Yeah, too much time in Chicago in a commie area, state. I mean, it was crazy. I had to really think through because I drove up there what I could take. Normally, I'll have a Glock 19 locked up in the car and different things, and maybe my carry gun. Who knows? Where I was on a regular day, I might decide to carry the FN Reflex, or like you, could carry a Glock 43X with a 15-round mag or something. All that stuff fits just great. But going to Chicago, going to Illinois, I not only can I carry it while I'm there, when I cross the state line, I can't have something that holds more than 10 rounds. So just having to think through all that and where the gun is and make sure it's not on me, all this kind of stuff. It really is weird if you're raised in Kentucky and Tennessee. People that are raised in a state like that, I don't know, I guess even though gun owners hate it up there too, at least it's not quite as weird maybe to them, but it's really, really weird to people who live in a free state. It just really is. All right. So that's what's warped my mind and got me on this rant, I guess, today. And just for that, I'm going to shoot at Talon Grips right there. And ballast on. How about Alabama holster? I'll have to shoot that Alabama State. How about the bullseye? Yeah, man. A couple more for over on the hill. Mr. Gong. It's amazing what a good trigger does for you, you know? It enables you to hit a lot better maybe than you even normally would. But now there is a limit to how light you want your trigger. It's tempting. I would caution you, put it that way, against a really, really light trigger if you're relatively new to firearms. Now, you may be brand new and you get on the range and a gun like this with a great trigger, that's what I want, you know, for my carry or whatever, self-defense. But just always bear in mind, you know, if you ever have an emergency, you lose a lot of those fine motor skills. Just something to be aware of. And I mean, I think about it even as much as I shoot. Like with my FN reflex, I love that trigger, and sometimes I think, man, maybe that trigger's better than it ought to be for a carry gun. You know, maybe even for me, you know, not to sound egotistical, but even though I shoot a great deal, that's a light trigger. The thing is, I don't mind a heavy trigger. I cut my teeth on heavy triggers, so I can handle a heavy trigger just fine. And in a defensive situation, I'm not going to be picking off Clyde over there at 50 yards or whatever he is, you know, further. You know, and so I don't mind a heavy trigger, but all comes down to trigger discipline, finger discipline, and so many things, being deliberate, being calm, and all that. So, what other advice are you dying to have, Henny? Man. I don't know. Well, don't forget now that there's no giveaway scams going on. They're real. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on any of those places that you're hearing from. People trying to tell you you won a firearm. Oh yeah, I meant to say it was great at the Bulls game. They you know, they do the jumbotron, all that kind of stuff, and my grandson had one of the Bulls heads he put on, and all the stuff, the big finger and all that kind of. He was really into it, and when they came around with the cameras and Benny, the mask on, all that stuff, they got him. He was on the jumbotron. You know, I think John posted that picture on Facebook or on Instagram, I guess. And you can see my blue arm behind him. He was right there with me. But yep, big old guy. So he got a kick out of that, being on the jumbotron, and in the game in general. It's quite an event. And you know, I grew up with Michael Jordan and watching him win all those championships. It was neat to go there again and see the statue, Michael Jordan. We were going to do, I told John, we got to do an FAQ there in front of it, because we often do that in front of interesting places like that. And so I even had planned what the FAQ was going to be. And we got there, and oh my gosh, there were so many people. And there was a disc jockey playing music, and you wouldn't have heard a word of it. And it had been 39 other people in the video, along with bronze Michael Jordan, you know, and all that. So we'll do that another time, maybe another time. So anyway, again, it was great to meet those of you I met at the game, and it was fun going out at halftime, because I got recognized as a former basketball player too, and Jordan was there, by the way, and we went out on the court and played some one-on-one. I beat him like a drum. Yeah, believe that? I can make up a story pretty quick, can't I? So anyway, I'm gonna let you go. It's been good to see you. And it's been really good to reacquaint myself with this 1911. And you notice no hang-ups today with a variety of power factors. 1,000 feet per second is trucking out of again out of an alloy frame Commander size 1911. But this is cool. If you've never fired a 1911, you owe it to yourself sometime to do it. Rent one. The gun range, somewhere, gun shop with a nice selection of rental guns. I'm sure some of them still have 1911s, don't they, as a rental guns, and you might enjoy it. It doesn't have to be. Now, it would feel better to you if it had some of the things this does. This is one of those things where you define it as everything you need and nothing you don't, or whatever. There's not a lot of stuff you don't need, but it really does. With the 1911, if you're new to this, a high ride beaver tail like this, get your hands up a little higher, feels good. You don't need hammer bite or anything. That always is nice. Okay, good sights. I like the long trigger myself. Checkering, of course we're empty, but checkering, front strap, back strap, gives you a better grip. I like even good grips that give you a good grip. And you can have extended safeties and all that kind of thing, and slide locks and everything if you want them. But those are the basic things. Some good sights, a good beaver tail, nice trigger, do wonders. Front strap being checkered makes a big difference. So anyway, just a little education about the old 1911. And again, it's not necessarily something you have to carry. You're allowed to own one just because it's fun to shoot. Okay? How many guns do you have that you do not carry? Many of you have guns you don't ever carry. It's not even legal where you are, maybe, whatever. You're in Chicago. So you might have one just for the same reason you'd have a Colt single action or some lever gun. It's a fun gun to shoot and own, and there's history of the 1911, because they've been around since, I don't know what, 1911 maybe. And it's the gun that the GIs carried in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, name all the places it's been, all over the place. And that 45 ACP cartridge, so much history, fun to shoot, lobs out a big round, get them in holler point. That's the round I keep in it. This magazine is the magazine that is in the firearm. I took out before I did some shooting today, so now I've got that back. I won't put one in the chamber because I'll clean it, put him back in my flapjack holster, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to let you go, and I really appreciate y'all coming out on Sundays and listening to me yak about nothing, kind of like the Seinfeld show, I guess, right? But I enjoy shooting and picking a day of the week. A little bit early this week too, because I may have another kind of a short trip, but it's a good day this week, and we're the week of the 24th, and so I'll just come on out and shoot. Kind of cloudy, which is always good, and yak at you a little bit. I really do. What I was saying earlier is as true as it can be. I get to do this for a living, and it's because you all tune in and have tuned in for 17 years, enough to keep it going. And it's So yeah, man, y'all are the stars. You're the special people. It's so that's one thing you don't have to doubt. If someone tells you I was rude to them in person, just laugh at them. That ain't gonna happen unless somebody walks up and hits me with a ball bat. Then I'll be rude to them. That ain't gonna happen. It's just the fact of life that I get to do this because y'all watch. That's simple. I would be about the lowest thing on the planet if I was rude to people. Really, I would. That's the way I look at it. So I'm going to let you go. Quit patting myself on the back. making up stories, and you know, it's probably this vodka that I put in these green bottles. You thought it was Pellegrino water all this time. So I will let you go. I appreciate you tuning in. Hope you get a chance to shoot some. Weather's breaking in most of the country, probably enough where you could get outside more, maybe get to a shooting range, even outdoor range if you have access to it, and sling a little lead, enjoy the firearms you have. You don't have to shoot them 1,000 times a week or a month in order to enjoy them. I thoroughly enjoy mine. I might take a gun like this and like 1 or 2 magazines and go hiking around my place, and I might not even shoot it, but then I might shoot both magazines, you know, plink it something here and there, and just enjoy the firearm, take it back, clean it a little bit, and put it away. So I think that's enjoyable myself. You know. Same with a range visit, you know, visit with the folks that are shooting, and you know, look at the guns people are shooting and talk guns. You don't have to fire 1,000 rounds to have a good day at the range, really. Just depends what you got. If you got 22 long rifles, maybe you do want to shoot 1,000 rounds. So y'all have a great week, and I hope to see you next week. Life is good.